Okay, good morning, everyone. This is lesson 4 or module 4, the challenges of middle and late adolescence. This will be the last topic that will be included in your midterm examination. The objectives for this module is to discuss that facing the challenges during adolescence, may be able to clarify and manage the demands of teen years, express my feelings on the expectations of the significant people around me, meaning your parents, siblings, friends, teachers, and community leaders. And lastly, make affirmations that help me become more lovable and capable as an adolescent. So we start with the lesson with risky behaviors. So, what are risky behaviors? These are acts that may increase the likelihood of disability or injury. And as you can see in the screen, there are examples of risky behaviors such as smoking, drinking, uh, friends, friends that are toxic, maybe, and teenage pregnancy. And what are the causes of these risky behaviors? So according to Santrock, he cited that there is a psychosocial approach in this one. It's a combination of biology, the psychological, and the social factors which interplay and contribute when it comes to creating problems that you need to overcome during adolescence. Biologically speaking, we have genes, puberty, hormones, and brain development. Okay, so you may be prone to addiction because maybe there is your parents or siblings or grandfathers may have been addicted to something. Hormones, hormonal changes that teenagers go through during puberty have been linked to higher rates of depression. We also have our brain development. As you remember, the amygdala matures faster than the prefrontal cortex. That is why we tend to feel more our emotions. We tend to follow our emotions more than our logic. Psychologically speaking, we have um, finding sense of identity. So finding or formation of your identity will lead to healthy academic, social, and psychological functioning. But of course, this may be difficult for some and it will be hard to find. Of course, you have to put yourself out there, you have to engage, interact with other people. You come to question things about yourself. And so the absence of self identity may cause other problems. And lastly, we have our social factors, which is the family, peers, school, socioeconomic status, and immediate environment. Of course, our family, since this is the primary group that we are in, peers, since you hang out with your friends more often, you spend more time with your peers now. School, our socioeconomic status and immediate environment, our cultural understanding, our own values and traditions, etc. So these are the other things that may cause risky behaviors. You remember the development of prefrontal cortex, which is delayed. No self-identity. So of course, um, the absence of self-identity causes heightened emotions or heightened emotionality, and this may cause problems. You become too erratic, you become too negative, you focus only on the things that are out of control. And then we also have low self-control. So low self-control, hindi ka na makapagpigil na you only want pleasure in your life. You only want to gain what you want. And then low consensuousness, this has been associated with drug abuse and behavior problems. Peers, of course, peer pressure. You may come to do things that you don't want to do, but you want the acceptance of your peers. So you are forced to try risky behaviors. And then we also have rejection. So rejection causes low self-esteem, which leads teenagers to engage in activities that put their health and dignity at risk. And then we have engaging in romantic relationships. So nowadays, you engage in those kind of relationships early, and this might become problematic since when you're in a relationship, you tend to do things for your partner so that they'll know that they are loved, so that they come to know you as a good partner. And it becomes risky because if you give them all that you have, if you give them all that they want, you may be left with nothing already, and that becomes dangerous. You may lose your self identity in the process. And then dropping out. Okay, so teenagers now who drop out from school are more prone to drug addiction and other delinquent activities. And lastly is poverty. So a lot of studies prove that poverty is linked to many problems that adolescents are vulnerable to because they have no choice but to resort to a life of crime since they don't have the basic necessities. Ayun, gumagawa sila ng risky behaviors. And other from that, yung mga adolescent that that has a problem with or non-intact families because of non-marriage, separation, working abroad, and death, they usually also experience some problems. Pitfalls and challenges of adolescence. So these are all common that you encounter. Yeah. Using and abusing drugs, first and foremost. So often due to peer pressure and starts usually by drinking. Uminom ka, tapos pag hindi ka uminom, KJ ka. Ayun, smoking cigarettes. You should try smoking cigarettes because it's in. And vaping, kasi mas madali daw, hindi daw siya delikado compared to smoking a cigarette. No, it starts there. And eventually, you use and abuse other illegal drugs. Being addicted to computer games. So this is also associated with a lot of problematic things. You get hooked because hindi lang sila fun. It provides you with opportunities to express what you feel, to create your own world, and you find your own identity. You express yourself as you are. Ayun. So you become lost in the world of gaming. And this being addicted to computer games is linked to anxiety and stress because of that excitement. Your heartbeat is always in a fast pace because of the excitement or stress levels. They also computer game addicts also neglect yung time orientation, nakakalimutan na yung time, hindi na naliligo, hindi na nakakain. So there's also a physical um, problem with that. And then running away from home. So according to research, there are three primary reasons why teenagers run away from home. Yung una is, I think, yung problems within the family, hindi makakaya yung sariling problema, and then abuse or neglect. Yan. So there are a lot more reasons why teenagers run away from home, of course. Being sexually promiscuous. Okay, so this means having more sexual partners, and I hope that um, you become responsible for yourselves. Be aware of of what happens, the consequences of your action, and if you engage in that, consent is always the concern. Yun yung dapat iniisip. Becoming a teenage parent. So you may know someone or see someone who has become a teenage parent, and you have seen consequences of this one. They may have stopped schooling in order to provide for the family. Um, ayun. And then being depressed. So in the class, I asked the other students if pumunta na ba sila sa doctor and how do doctors usually diagnose a patient. Okay, so usually binibigyan kayo ng tests. They will ask you questions about your symptoms, and if they match it with a diagnosis, ayun yung binibigay sa inyo. So for regular doctors, they use ICD-10 in order to diagnose you. And for mental health disorders, we have the so-called DSM-5. So it's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders. So depression is one of the mental health disorders that we have. And in order for someone to be diagnosed, clinically diagnosed with depression, you have to check off certain criteria sa sa scale. So, for example, there will be at least 15 na criteria in a certain disorder, and you have to check off at least six in order to be classified as depression. And tinitignan din nila yung time span, if 1 month na ba, 2 months, 6 months, a year. Yan. So that's also included in the diagnostic criteria. And then committing suicide, of course. And lastly, engaging in sexual activities. Yeah. So knowing these pitfalls and challenges will help you avoid being trapped to difficult situations. However, we still put ourselves in this situation because mainly of our inability to express our feelings and emotions, especially those towards sa mga significant people in our lives. Yan. So we have an activity here. I hope that you will submit this one. Dear significant people. So this activity aims to help you express your thoughts, your feelings to authority figures or significant people in your life. In the book, it's only dear mom and dad, but I put significant people so you can include those who you consider as um yung kinukonsider nyo as important people in your life. So expressing your feelings is important, especially in situations when you feel pressured due to high expectation. So you read the instructions and you will submit a picture of your paper in Schoology only. And then how do we cope with these challenges, with these pitfalls? So learn to accept what you feel. This might be difficult when you feel sad, when you feel angry, kapag envious ka, you have to embrace these feelings because they are real emotions. Ayan. And then we have identify your vulnerabilities. So knowing when you feel intense emotions is important to acknowledge. And this I hope to leave you with this lesson also, that when you identify those certain emotions, I hope you do not make decisions immediately in those emotions when you're feeling those emotions. For example, if you're feeling happy or you're feeling angry, kasi 'di ba, if we're angry, we tend to say things that we don't mean. So if you recognize that you're already feeling angry, you have to um think back. You have to breathe first before you say something. So you might um para hindi mo ma-hurt yung people around you if you have that tendency to say things on your mind if you're angry. And if you're happy naman, yeah, we tend to make good decisions. We tend to make exaggerated decisions when we're angry. Gusto natin mag-Shopee, tapos baka pagtingin natin na sobrahan na pasobra na tayo sa pag-Shopee or other things. When you feel frustrated or vulnerable, And then develop your talents and interests. So attaining positive self-esteem helps boost your psychological well-being. So you can do this when you develop your talents, when you focus on your interests, maybe reading books, talents, singing, dancing, making arts and crafts. Yeah, and then become more involved with others. So this might not be a good idea for some people. You might not want to engage with other people, but um, as they say, no man is an island, and we do not just live for ourselves. We also have to think about others. We help them. We share our experience. We share emotions. We share memories with each other. And lastly, seek help when needed. So asking for help is as beneficial as helping others. And many adolescents are shy. Maybe you're shy, you're hesitant to ask for help kasi you're not the type of person to ask for help, but it's not a weakness. Knowing your own limitation and boundaries is a strength. Yan. And in order for us to complete our objectives for this module, you will be required to complete an affirmation board. Okay, so this is what it looks like. The affirmation board, you have to make an actual board, and you will put at least minimum of five affirmations, and you will design the board, physical board to ha, hindi to online lang. And then what you will submit is um, a picture of you holding the affirmation board. Don't need to bring it to school. I will only require a picture, and the affirmation board will be for you. So that when you doubt yourself, when you feel down, you have something that you can look at that can affirm you. Okay, other details or directions for the affirmation board will be um, put in Schoology later on, and the submissions will be after the examination period. Okay, so that's it for the challenges of middle and late adolescence.